Hello,
Okay.
welcome. Today we're in the week of Parshas Beshalach, so we're every week is full, but this week is full with a lot of energy, for me, actually, it was a very intense week, but I think globally it's probably been that way because last Shabbos was Yud Shvat, and the Rebbe speaks about Yud Shvat in this Sicha, how the Frierdiker Rebbe or the Rebbe Rayatz had this his yard site, and then how the aliyah happens every year, how it every year there's some type of aliyah. So we'll talk about that today. And then we have Tu B'Shvat, which is today, and we have Beshalach, which is Az Yashir. And actually, last night when I was reading the Chitas, I was thinking about how there was one pasuk that said, like, Hashem said, it was like two three pasuk, a few pasuk in that Hashem like, they come to the Yam Suf, Hashem just like, I'm gonna destroy them, and then right away they're singing Az Yashir, and you think about, like, what's the significance of the Yidden singing Shira about this, right? Because he dumps Fardea, like da da da, so many things, right? So it's like, what about this is calling for a Shira from the Yidden, and also just like, it was so fast, terrifying, just from one pasuk to the next. And then we have Yud Shvat, which is the beginning of the Rebbe's Nesias. So there's a lot that we can bring about, and there's a lot that we can bring in to our lives. And then we also,
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to add that this is Rachi and I'm Khani.
Mhm.
We have some Chaya on the call. And we're, excited to have this conversation. It's interesting because I had a really hard time getting into the Sikha because first the Rebbe was talking about Yud Shvat and the Kviyas of like Yud Shvat. I'll just make this, the technicalities, I'll try to keep it short, and then we can talk about the idea behind it. Yud Shvat was on Wednesday of this year, Tafshin and Beis, and then Shabbos was Yud Gimel Shvat. Yeah, yes. And on Wednesday, we say in Shir Shoyim, we say L'chun Ranana, the first three psukim of L'chun Ranana, which is a song of Shabbos. And then on Shabbos, we complete it. So the Rebbe was saying that on Shabbos Shira, Shabbos Parshas Beshalach is like whatever happened on Wednesday is the beginning, the preparation, and then it has this completion. It's the shlemus on Shabbos, and the shlemus of the aliyah, the shlemus of this incredible height that gets elevated through the neshama of the Frierdiker Rebbe and through obviously the holiness of the Rebbe becoming Rebbe and all that. There's these aliyahs happening every single year. These incredible, and the Rebbe specifically connects it to Shabbos and to song, because we're talking about what's the connection between Wednesday and Shabbos? The song, L'chun Ranana, the singing, the appreciating, bringing thanks to Hashem, the joy, the music, the instruments, the art, all of the art, the creativity, the joy, the abundance, all of that is expressed through L'chun Ranana, and it's brought to its completion on Shabbos, which is Shabbos Shira, right? Every Shabbos there's elevation. And how do these elevations happen? How do these aliyahs happen? It happens through, all these aliyahs happen through song specifically. How do we get from one step to the next? How do we get from one piece? Like what's the ladder? The ladder's the music. So it's just like, wow, like I was having a really hard time connecting to this, but then I was like, wait, like this is all song, this is all beauty, this is all like a dance that we're in. And Shabbos completes that, especially a Shabbos like Shabbos Shira, which is like the ultimate of song and appreciation to Hashem. And it's interesting, we can probably think about how it connects to specifically Kriyas Yamsuf, because why of all Shabbosim, why specifically Kriyas Yamsuf as Yashir connected to Shabbos Shira, and obviously that's a big source and a big foundation for all other Shabbosim, right? Because all other Shabbos is a Shabbos, that Shabbos has something special. That Shabbos, that specialty of that Shabbos goes to all other Shabbos. So of course Shabbos Shira also every single Shabbos has song in it, L'chun Ranana and Mizmor David and all these things. But obviously there's something extra special, and there's an incredible aliyah, especially as it's connected to Yud Shvat, and it's connected to Tu B'Shvat, and connected to all these like holy times, and also Tu B'Shvat, which is when this moon is at its fullest, and what that represents, and it's just like everything. And just to think about the song and the joy and the creativity and the playfulness and the instrumentals, and maybe now I'm thinking it's like you think about a symphony and everything that goes into the symphony, and every single like piece, everything that goes underneath that like nobody has any idea about, and all the practice and all the the hair and the makeup. I forget about the years and years and years of practice and skill that goes into something like that, a production. And we're literally are producing. There's this, we're part of this grand production. So it's pretty incredible, and playing it. Obviously now today we're on Tu B'Shvat, where we're moving into Parshas Beshalach, and last Shabbos was Yud Shvat. So the whole week we're living with it, and it's not over. We're just taking the holiness of that. So that's just one piece that I think is so incredible to talk about. And then obviously how it all connects to Mashiach, because the two themes of Parshas Beshalach are Shiras Hayam and Milchemas Hamalek, which both of them will be completed when Mashiach comes, right? Az Yashir, right? And Hashem's like complete ruling is only going to be when Mashiach comes. The same thing is with Amalek. Amalek's only the complete destruction of Amalek is only going to happen Lasted Lave, and what that means and what that represents. So I guess that's like the little opening. And if any of you guys want to like hop in and say something else before we, yeah.
I also want to share something also, that this Shabbos is also the Shabbos before Chav Shvat, and so between Yud Shvat and Chav Shvat is the 11, which is above logic, which is connected to the feminine and all that. So the Shabbos before a special date blesses that day. So like just an added like piece. But whoa, like while you're saying it, it's like already I'm feeling all the energy, like whoa, it's like beautiful.
Thanks for sharing.
I have a picture.
Sorry, say again.
Yeah, no, so I'm just saying that while you were saying all these things, it's like you hear the energy of it, like the Yud Shvat and the Shabbos and the Tu B'Shvat and Shabbos Shira and everything. It's like when you, it's also amazing to me that when we learn about something, like when we learn the Dvar Malchus, like like the Zohar, it says that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said that with that book we're going to leave the galus and all the brilliance and the shine that's in it. I feel like the Malchus is like that. Like when you learn it, there's such an energy in it, like, and it's just beautiful when we learn it. It just comes to life. It's there, but like when we just say it, it comes to life. All of a sudden, it's like whoa, like you're seeing this light, and it's just amazing. Yeah.
So I want to connect this also because we spoke about the Kriyas Yam Sov and we spoke about Shidduchim earlier today. And so I think
what are we not talking about Shidduchim?
Right, exactly. But the idea of like when it says Kasher, the Gemara says, right, it's Gemara, that Kasher Kriyas Yam Sov, that because here we're speaking about the shira of it, so it's more of like a joyous. It might also be hard, but the idea of Kasher Kriyas Yam Sov, if we can maybe think about what that might be and what's hard about either of them, and then how does that connect to the subject at hand?
It's the Geula perspective on it, because everything, what I also feel? I feel like when you learn the Dvar Malchus, you learn the Rebbe Sichos, the Rebbe really invites us to, like, everything that we thought before, like we had a certain, an idea about it, like everything is transformed. Okay, now let's look at it from, from the Rebbe's, Mashiach, Teras Hashem Mashiach's perspective. So I guess this as well, like whatever. So it says Vehu Yim Shalbach, right? It says about the man, like that was one of the curses, like whatever punishment, whatever consequences. So I said, well, how can I understand this in the Geula way? So it's Vehu Yim Shalbach. So what's Yim Shal? Comes from the word mashal. He will be a parable. He's going to be a mashal. Your husband, the man, is going to be a parable, a mashal to your relationship with Hashem.
Mm-hmm.
So just like Hashem wants to pleasure you and give you and be your mashpia and you'll be rekabel, so that's how your husband, he's going to be that mashal over here. So that's it. He's not. So you change the whole way that you see it. So that pasuk it's not negative. It's positive.
Yeah.
So now I can understand what's going on with me and my husband. So that's the relationship between me and Hashem. So I guess the same thing. Kasha ki kriyas yamsov. It says ki kriyas yamsov. There's something in kriyas yamsov that is similar to a shidduch, to marriage. What is that? What is that? What's the same? And why? What's kasha? What is hard?
Yeah.
Hard doesn't have to be negative necessarily.
I think
hard is boundaries. I don't know. Well, what is hard? Hard is like
Well,
structured.
I guess when I think about shidduchim and the hard part of it is really a lot of the trying to understand like my place in it versus like other people's opinions of it, of me, of what my life should look like, of what an ideal spouse should look like, of what an ideal date should look like, an ideal candidate or resume, whatever. All the things that people say like it has to be this way, that's for me is very hard.
Maybe blocking that out. I mean, I think if you think about Kriyas Yam stuff, like, can we go back and look at like who was that person? It was Nachshon ben Aminadab. What did he do? You know,
Okay.
everyone was kind of like everywhere. They were like, we go back to, all the four things, right? They're like, let's go back to Mitzrayim. Let's commit suicide. Let's, you know what I mean? Let's call quits. And then Nachshon ben Aminadab is just like Hashem. It's all Hashem. And I'm going to show that I believe that with my full being. I believe that Hashem is going to do what he's going to do. That's it. And he went in, and it was also like his intention.
Yeah.
He wasn't like playing games here. He was just like, this is what it is. Hashem's going to do Kriyas Yamsuf for us, forever. Like, he knew what was on the line. He knew that this was a historical moment. He appreciated it, and everybody knew that, but he had the sense and the foresight and the perspective, and I think just the intention. Like, his intention was, because there were people who jumped in before nothing, and it didn't happen. Like they didn't make it, but his intention was so pure and so believing, and he was going to show that. Like, he was showing Hashem, showing the world where, show them where, what's it called? What's the expression? Whatever. He showed it with his entire being that he believes in Hashem. And it's like, and maybe like take that lesson of like, how in this moment can I show Hashem that with my being, that I believe in him, that I trust him, that he's going to do everything exactly perfect for me.
Wow.
How can I just go in with that intention? It's about Hashem doing it for me, doing it for the world. This is a global issue. This is a cosmic, everything that we experience is cosmic, and it's nothing to do with like who said and the gatekeepers, and nothing to do. It's like, and I'm not competing with anyone.
Right.
I'm not in a desperate situation. I'm in a situation, and Hashem is taking care of me. And by me showing that I know that with my actions, showing that I appreciate it, showing that I'm inviting that type of Kriyas Yamsuf, it's not to do with what, there's a lot of talk of like, this is what you have to do. You have to make a keli this way, that way. Everybody has their own way of being that Nachshon ben Amminadab.
Yeah.
Everyone has their way of, everyone has their own insecurities of what they don't believe in and what they do believe in, based on their experience or based on the way Hashem made them, based on their relationship with Hashem. But if I can go in and know where I struggle the most and show Hashem that, no, I believe you. I trust you. I trust that you are doing everything for my good. And that's it.
Yes,
And then, like Rachel said, the Az Yasher comes seconds later. Literally.
Yeah.
Like minutes.
Seconds later.
Like the next pasuk. Like there's no lag time here. It's just about like stepping into that. And the same thing is like Nachshon ben Amminadab had no idea what was going to happen. He had no plans. He had no, like, it wasn't a science project. It wasn't like, it's like the same idea of Pinchas. Like there was no like, he didn't know that was going to happen, but his whole being knew that this is how he had to show up. Yeah. And he, with zero expectation.
Yes.
Of how that's going to play itself out. So that's what came up.
Yes. While you were sharing I'll tell you what came up. Two things came up while you were sharing this. So one thing is the word visibility. We need to show up. That's it. We need to show up for life. Whatever that means, whatever it looks like, depending on the situation. Sometimes showing up is, going on a Zoom, with the video or without the video, whatever. Or sometimes it'll be, going to sleep but it's showing up for ourselves. And like, that's what Nachshon did. He showed up. He's like, I'm here. Everyone was like trying to figure out, should we go back? Should we do this? Should we do that?
Math.
And
There's a lot of math. There's a lot of math.
Forward and he said, I'm here. What?
No, sorry. Everyone had their calculations, like the scientific.
Right. It was very in the logic.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of like control issues. Okay, if we do this and we'll get this now, like that. And he's like, okay, like I'm just, stepping into it. And I feel so many times like, I don't know exactly what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do, but I just want to show up. That's all. Like, I don't want to hide anymore. That's all. Yeah. Like, that's, I think what Geula is like, really to free ourselves and to be who we're supposed to be. Like some flyers that I make, and like recently, the last flyers that I've been doing, I always have my picture there because like, I want to show up. I don't care what people think, if it's like this or that or whatever, but that's one thing. Another thing I want to say about the keli that you said, and we just had the Fabring at Tu B'Shvat. Rachel, you went on. Yeah, I saw you on the thing. And I mentioned Chani's name. I said that I learned something from Chani because making a keli is not only like, okay, another cup, another vessel, another plate. Okay, we have all of that already. Maybe we have to empty it out. And for me, like that was something that resonated a lot with me because I always overbooked, overscheduled, did too much. And I don't do that anymore. Now it's like more balanced because I'm emptying up the keli in order that the keli can receive. So that, and also one more thing I want to say when you were saying that also, whoa, this is like amazing. Okay, so pleasure goes to peace. Like when you're in malchus and you're in pleasure, then you go to peace. Because you're expansive and you're not waging war, you're not in a battle. So you're in your pleasure, in your self-care, then you go to peace. And when you're in peace, then that's when the faith and the trust and the confidence comes. And I never put that together. Everyone's thought that you have to have trust and have emunah in Hashem. It's like, one second, but how do you get there? So go to the pleasure piece, go to the expansion. He went for a swim, right? Nachshon just said, okay, I'm going into the water. Everyone's discussing and it's all this toxic energy. No one knows what to do. I'm just gonna go take a swim. And he went in the water and that's relaxing. And it came up to here and it's like, okay, I don't know what's gonna be, but then, whoa, like, and that's when the trust comes. So I never associated that together, but it's pleasure, peace, confidence, trust, emunah. Wow, like it all fits in. Yeah. So those are the things I want to share, but I'd love to hear you guys also.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I actually want to throw something else in that was most mind-blowing about what I learned this week. In the end of so obviously there's a ton to talk about Kriyas Yam Suf when we just touched on one little element of that. But in Parsha, so the end of the Parsha talks about Amalek, right? And we have to remember Macha Emcha Timcha, right? That so this is a tiny little. This is literally like two lines in the Seicha, and it's just like I don't know. I'm just gonna say it. Okay, so through Mechias Amalek happens, and by the way, that's also connected to 11, which I don't want to get into right now, but there's definitely Amalek that's connected to 11. But what I want to say is Macha Emcha Timcha. So the Macha Emcha, the I will destroy, is through
Can you
Hashem.
just tell me where you're reading from? Just tell me
Um,
where you're reading so
yeah,
I could just follow.
Page 313 on the bottom. It's the last, the middle of the second to last paragraph in Ice Daled.
I have this book. So which ice?
It's
Oh,
the
the bottom
second
of
to
Ice
last
Daled?
paragraph of Ice Daled in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, Macha Emcha Timcha. So Hashem is the one who does the first part of Macha Emcha, and Timcha happens through Al Yidei Yisrael. Those three words are Rashi Teves Emes. Emcha, Macha, Timcha. So
Wow.
yeah. And then it basically talks about the Yud Aleph de Kedusha that it represents, that Amalek represents, whatever. But I just want to talk about MS for a second, because when we have access to the truth, we destroy Amalek. The MS is where the destruction happens, because what's Amalek? Amalek is doubt. Amalek is fear. Amalek is insecurity. Amalek is clouds. Is like all this like smoke, right?
Yeah.
Toxic energy, like maybe it's not the right thing. Maybe it's not. Maybe this. Maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe cooling everything down, like taking the intensity and the heat and the excitement and just like, throwing an ice into it, right? And when I think about within our days today and how valuable MS is and how difficult it is to access, because even just back to our conversation before about let's say Shidduchim being Kasher Kriyas Yam Suf, we can get so distracted by everything around it and what can you do and what you should do and what this one's saying and what that one's saying. The truth is that none of that matters. None of that. It's like, this is something that I always think about. It bothers me so much. It's like when we talk about emunah and bitachon and believing in Hashem and all day and every day, and somehow as soon as it comes to Shidduchim, out the window. Doesn't exist. There's no Hashem. There's no bitachon. There's no emunah. There's no nothing. It's like, what did you do wrong? What did this person do wrong? You know what I mean? Or like, how can you do something different? And it's like, it's just like such a specific example. And of course, it's 100% not true, but there's this culture around control over that. And somehow there's no emunah, there's no bitachon, there's no Hashem, there's no Kriyas Yam Suf. There's like, oh, maybe we should go back to Mitzrayim. Oh, maybe we should do this. Oh, maybe we should do that. And it's like, are you crazy? Let's look at the truth. Where's the MS? Let's go back to the MS. Right? So,
yes.
And for every single person, that MS looks different. And that's what's so confronting, because you have to be honest about yourself. You have to be honest about your relationship with yourself. You have to be honest with your relationship with Hashem. You have to be honest with your relationship with your husband. You have to be honest with your relationship with your friends. And sometimes if you're honest, then you have to, like, maybe you can connect it to that whole Kaylee thing. Like, if you're honest, that means that you have to empty out a Kaylee. You have to remove yourself from something that you don't want to, that's so a part of your life.
Yes.
But if you're really honest,
yes,
you'd be like, no, this is not for me.
Yes.
And that's very difficult. But that's the destruction of Amalek, because you're lying that this friend is good for you. You're lying that you're enjoying this. You're lying that, it's a lie. And so many times we don't know that we're lying.
Wow.
But it's like, wait a minute.
Yes.
Where's the truth? And I guess what's truth, it sounds crazy to say, but truth is very subjective. There's not
Mhm.
one objective truth, because
Yes.
there obviously is one objective truth, and that's right here. This is the only truth that exists in the universe, but we all experience it differently. And if I come and impose my truth onto you, I'm doing a disservice to myself, I'm doing a disservice to you, and I'm doing a service to the Rebbe's words, because I don't know how it applies to you. I don't know what's true for you. That's why I want you to share with me what's true for you. But you know, I have to be honest about that. So I don't know if that, and it's just very, I guess, empowering, because as difficult as it is to be
Wow.
honest,
I love that.
that's the fight. That's the fight against the Amalek, and that's our part, because there's two stages that are Hashem, Macha Emcha Hashem, Timcha. I mean, yeah, Timcha is us. We're the ones that are actually making it happen. Finally, like the final of the three letters. So yeah, I'd love to talk more about like what truth is. And
Well,
yeah,
I think one thing about truth,
Wow.
the Kasher Kriyas Yom Tov, is that you have the idea of sort of thinking that shidduchim is like a separate entity, like
Mhm.
so just to be honest in our own lives and filter out and have, I don't know, it's a hard one, but I think connecting both of them would be like beneficial. Sorry, I'm just a lot of things right now.
So
But
are you saying that like there are many different situations in life that are like Kriyas Yamsuf, and we're just pinning it to one? Is that what you're saying?
that could be, I mean, I wasn't saying that. I was saying more that like Hashem's involved, and I think this is a recurring theme in Devar Machos and in today with Nachshon and Ben Aminadab, is that the experience should be a full experience. So like our faith means it's a full faith, meaning that Hashem is going to take care of the 10 makas. Hashem is going to take care of our livelihood, of the Kriyas Yom Tov, and to not to pin anything to anything else. I mean, Chasam Chachai also said about the keli, to make a keli is like connected to that. I don't know. Everything I guess kind of connects. But yeah, no, I think these are all really good points.
Yeah.
Wow. I love how you connected that. The truth with Mechias Hamalek. I never heard that. I mean, the Rebbe is saying it here, of course, but one of the things that comes to mind when you're saying about, the truth is subjective to each person at a given moment, given situation. I know for myself, like, we just came from bringing of vulnerability. So I guess I'm just in that energy of being very vulnerable. I've noticed that the times that I have not been truthful to myself and not, either put the healthy boundary or whatever it is, I literally felt so disconnected from myself. I felt, and I'm going to say like maybe like very, like dramatic word, but I literally abandoned myself. That's what I do. Like when I don't listen to my inner voice, I abandon myself. Now, I know it's a strong word to say abandon, but that's what it is, because I don't give myself, the space or the voice or whatever it is. It's like, okay, I can handle it. No, I could do it. Oh, I could, and I want to share that yesterday it happened. Yeah, yesterday happened in some relationship, whatever, a close relationship. And I was like, my husband's like, you don't even have to tell me like when you spoke to that person. Like I already know. Like I already know. Because I get so irritable and so like I'm just so out of touch with myself. I'm not myself. And it's like I break myself in pieces, and then he said to me, look, I'm a Rav. I'm gonna tell you what to do. I'm gonna give you a psak din. He said, you don't have to call that person. You don't have to be in touch. You don't have to. And then I was like, okay, that gave me like a lot of, support, like, that I don't have to. But then it was like, then I had to give it to myself, because once he said, then I had to go to myself and say, okay, Like, because, it's nice when other people give us the support, but we have to give it to ourselves. So then I was like, okay, I'm not going there. Like, this is not pleasurable. This is not giving me peace. I'm not going to change the situation. I'm not going to help that person. If I'm able to be of service, if I'm able to be, collaborate, if I'm able to be, like, how do you say, like in a good energy, then for sure I want to do that. Like, that's where I want to be. But if it's not, that's not my truth. That's exactly what it is. And I'm so relating to this because it's a fight, it's a battle, it's a war. But when I step into my truth, even if at the beginning it might be a little bit hard because I have to put the boundaries, I have to speak up, I have to like just say no, like I'm not doing this, or this is not resonating with me, period. Like, I don't have to go into all this, convincing, and I'm going into 10. I want to stay in 11 where the Rebbe says Yud Aleph de Kedusha. So it says here, "Umiskale b'Yisrael b'chinas Yud Aleph de Kedusha." I'm wholesome. Hashem Shalem. Like, I'm wholesome. I'm not in this war and like where I'm broken in different pieces. And I think we're very in tune. We just like, we know exactly when we're in our truth. Our body will tell us, like, we'll know. Our body is going to tell us the truth. It's not going to, I remember hearing this from someone says, sometimes, you'll feel this, your head might say different things, but your body will not lie. It will say the truth. So thank you so much for that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing
Amazing.
about, I don't think the abandonment thing, I don't think it's at all an exaggeration. Literally when you don't step into your truth, I know for myself, from my experiences, yeah, 100% abandoned and unsupported, unseen. I think abandoned is the best word to say. And to know, like, what are the things that you can do to prove to yourself that you can trust yourself? What are those things that you can show, you can actively show yourself that you are trustworthy, that you're not going to abandon yourself again? I mean, you obviously, it's never, but how can you build that trust again? How can you, just like you would never leave somebody waiting for you on the corner when you're going to meet them for a walk? What are those things within yourself that when I started thinking about it, maybe like a year or two, probably a year and a half or two, when we had this conversation around abandonment and self-trust. And so what I stopped to do is, like, I stopped telling myself when I'm going to wake up, because I never listen. So, like, at least why should I lie to myself? Because that's just one way so that I'm losing trust. And so where are the ways, like, there are certain people that you'll never ever like let them down. And one of those people should be yourself. That should be the main, right? Like, so it's just,
I love that.
I just
Wow.
want to talk about practical for a second, because, like, what are those things, like, especially this consists of our bringing. I was going to go somewhere else, but I want to stay here for a few minutes to talk about how, like, how can you show yourself that you trust yourself, that you're trustworthy, that you're going to keep to your word.
Oh, wow.
Whether that's keeping to a specific, I don't know, exercise regimen, or, whatever it is. And maybe stop making certain promises that you're used to making. Like, maybe stop setting certain alarms that you're going to press snooze. Don't set it. There's this culture of, like, okay, snooze. But then, like, who are you fooling? You're lying to yourself, and you're showing yourself that you're lying to yourself, and you're getting into this, you're getting deeper into this pattern. Like, that's just one example that for me, like, that's something that I struggle with. And I stopped setting a bunch of alarms, because, like, for what purpose? So that I know that I could, like, not show up for myself in that way, So that's just like one example, but I'm sure there are many, many, many other examples of just keeping your word to yourself. You want to say something?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The cell keeps falling. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow,
just like keeping. There was something else you said that I wanted to respond to, but I really appreciate you bringing up this whole idea of abandonment, because that's really the truth. When you don't, when you put someone else's, when you don't acknowledge
Yes, when we put other people,
other
when we
people
put
need
other
to know
people's
yours
truth first.
first.
We put
Exactly.
their insecurities, their anxiousness, their fear, their, stories, their narratives, all their stuff. Like we put
Yeah.
that, and it's not ours. It's
Yeah.
not ours. We don't have to get involved.
Yeah.
Put
And
other
you don't have
people's.
time. You don't have time. You don't have energy for yourself to really know what
Exactly.
that is. So, and it's a fight. It's a real fight because, but it doesn't have to be. Like, it's a fight, but it's not, because like if you think about the whole narrative of how the whole Amalek, it wasn't a hard work. The Bnei Israel just had to show up, and it just happened.
Mm,
Same thing with Nachshon ben. That's what I want to connect to Nachshon ben Aminadav. He showed it on his body. That was his thing. Like he's just like,
yes.
it wasn't about any of his great ideas and his poem or whatever. He's like, no, like this is where I need to be right now. This is where my body needs to be. This is where I
Wow.
need to show up for the universe. Kriyas Yamsuf was a cosmic, every single cup, every single water in the entire world split because Nachshon ben Aminadav jumped into the water. Simple as that. Very straightforward. Think about what that means for me, what that means for you, and showing up with your entire being and knowing that this is where you need to be. As crazy as it sounds.
Wow.
Crazy. What are you doing? But I don't know what that is, and the things that I feel like the Rebbe is inviting us to that. And because there isn't a straight answer, because there isn't a no, because there isn't a yes, because there isn't the black and the white and the spreadsheets, and the formulas and the Excel sheets, like it's very hard because it's like,
Yes.
and it's also so much easier because just no,
Right. Right.
yeah, follow
Wow.
your heart. It sounds crazy,
You
but
want it?
yeah,
Wow. It's also another thing while you were saying this about the MS that came up, the abandonment and all that, and this is the integrity.
yes,
Integrity means that I am truthful to myself when I am in this Farbrengen, in a safe place, we like each other, we're friends. Okay, that's great. How about when I'm going to a place where, there's judgment, there's other people's stuff, and I don't feel so safe, let's say, right?
Mhm.
So that's what I feel the integrity is. Like for me, I mean, like I'll just, bring the example of the food. So I used to make myself a lot of promises. Okay, so I'm gonna do this, and then I would break it. I was off the third piece of cake. I said I would eat one. I was the third. So I had no integrity with myself. It wasn't somebody else. It was for myself. So when I started doing, healthy boundaries with my food, I'm just giving that example. It could be in other things. I was just like, I had so much integrity with myself. And I remember one lady once coming Shabbos to us, and she was, always dieting or whatever. And I'm just doing my thing, whatever. And she tells my husband, she looks around, she says, do you believe that she never, ever, ever takes a piece of chalk in the middle of the night? It was so funny to me, and it was interesting to me. And it doesn't matter. It's not about fooling anybody else. It's not about putting on a show for someone else. It's my integrity, and it gives me something. It gives me something that nothing else can give me. Nothing can give me. So when I show up for myself, and I love what you said, that he came with his entire being. He showed up in the body, and this is like really powerful. Like this, like me showing up, like him showing up was a cosmic ripple effect. So us showing up for ourselves and being, have that integrity, of course, it makes us feel amazing and we feel connected and we feel wholesome. But I guess the Rebbe is inviting us to see this as something cosmic, something really big, like, wow, like it should support us. Like the universe is going to support us in that, being in that, in that connecting with yourself in that way. So, wow,
yeah.
so beautiful.
Yeah, I love that you said that. And yeah, that's what the Rebbe says, like Gula Klolis, Gula Pretis, Gula Klolis. And like each, and that's another reason why it's so difficult, because we're carrying, like, we're on the shoulders of generations and generations of Mesiras Nefesh, of such difficult hardships, and we're carrying so much of that emotionally, and we're carrying so much of that in our bodies.
Yes.
So much of this like trauma, like for every country that we're in, the stories are endless, and we don't even know the stories of the trauma that we're carrying. And to like just have a little like appreciation and compassion for everything that we're bringing to Geula with each of these choices, to be more truthful, to be honest
Wow.
about what's really going on. We're doing it, to think about our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents. Yesterday was the Holocaust Memorial Day. Like, the as a people, like what? No, was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. And we are carrying all of that, and we are invited to heal all of that with one choice, with one action, with one act of showing up. With one deleting, with one permission to just to not be rigid in a diet and just be like, this is what's good for me to eat, or whatever, with one, deleting one extra alarm, because I can trust myself to wake up, and I know that, and I have that integrity, and I have that connection with myself, and I have that trust. And it's not only something for the world, it's a Geula Pratis, it's a Geula Klalis, and what are we talking about Geula Klalis? We're talking about the world, we're talking about the generations, we're talking about 2,000 years of Gullus. It's not like, we're not talking about like little, and also if you want to talk about Yud Shvat, how the Rebbe literally brings it, that, Basi Lagani Achaisi Kala, that there was the world was a garden. I think I want to end off with this, because this is a big touching point for me last year, Yud Shvat, and I want to bring that back. The Rebbe says, right, that this world is a garden, and then each of the Averis, right, all like the Shekhinah went up and up and up and up, and then now we're at the point, and the Rebbe basically walks us through the entire history and shows us how it's all connected, and how the Shekhinah going down, and then through Moshe Rabbeinu, how the Shekhinah was finalized in the Mishkan, and how it went back up, and then through the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe and the Mittler Rebbe and the Tzemach Tzedek and the Tzemach Tzedek and the Rebbe Maharash and the Rebbe Rashab and the Frierdiker Rebbe and the Rebbe, each Rebbe and all the stories that he brought of each Rebbe, and how to make it so real that these are all the steps and steps and steps and steps, and this is where we are. We're at the point, we're the seventh generation. Like this is the opening. This is where we are. It's not a small matter. It's very, talk about cosmic, talk about historical moments. 2020 is definitely very historical, and everyone's like kind of joking about it. We don't need historical, but we're living history, and we're living the climax of history. We're living like the Geula Hamitas Vashlema, the shlemus of everything that we're talking about, the shlemus of all the people that we've mentioned today and more. And
I love that, the Shalema. Oh,
yeah,
wow, I never heard that.
It's
Yes,
the Geula Shlema.
of everything.
It's all together, and the way that the Rebbe brings it, and obviously when we've spoken about this before, how when the Rebbe speaks about Moshe, he's speaking about himself, and the Rebbe speaking of, all the Rebbeim, the Rebbe speaking about himself, and we're at that point. We're each time that we show up as we are in our truth, we're making that a reality. We're living our best lives. And just to like appreciate that for a moment and feel it in your body, that like we, by working through everything that comes up, and it's not our stuff we're carrying. Most of the stuff we're carrying, it's not us.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's just what it is. And it's not us, but it is us. And we're the ones. Oh, and this is the point that I was getting to. My favorite, the point that struck me so strongly last Yud Shvat was that the Rebbe says specifically that our avodah is to bring Mashiach, right? That was the Rebbe's opening the whole point of the whole like Basi Lagani, right? We're making Basi Lagani like the shlemus of it. And how the Rebbe says, Yada inesh benafshay. Every single person knows his nefesh, his truth, his responsibility, his ability, his connection to himself, his connection to the Rebbe, his connection to Hashem, and knows what that is to make it happen.
Wow.
So that's my.
Oh, wow. I love that. That's beautiful. Yes, and it goes. That's wow. That